Hi mate, how are you?
How are we doing? You all right?
Good mate, are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good to see you.
Aye, we've been training today, so it's been a busy day, but
Yeah,
oh well.
just another hour to do.
Yeah, it's fine.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'll start letting them in, and
Yeah, that's fine.
just a couple of minutes just to let them all get set up and settle down, and then we'll get straight into it, mate.
Sound perfect.
Top man. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all well.
Hi, Paul.
Hey mate, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Alf's just getting a quick shower. He's just been out doing a bit of ball work.
No worries, mate.
Not be long now, will it, till we're back?
No, getting excited, are you?
Just a bit.
I've been chomping it a bit for months.
Yeah, I think it's age we're at, mate.
I know. Any little bit of excitement.
How's the wife keeping?
Very well, mate. She's a bit
Good.
She's a bit poorly this week, but we're just plodding on as we usually do.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, little introduction then. So tonight we're joined by Callum Hawkins. Okay, Callum's a local lad, which is good for us all to be able to relate to. And he's a current goalkeeper at Burton Albion. And he spent a small time training with me in between his time at Sheffield Wednesday and then until he signed at Burton as well. So there'll be quite a few students on here tonight who actually got the pleasure to train with Callum, and they'll probably remember him from visiting a few sessions. Okay, so good evening, Callum. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's been a busy day, so
Good.
I've been looking forward to this.
Good. So thanks for joining us. And hopefully what we'll be able to get from tonight's session is just as many tips as possible for the young goalkeepers to try and inspire them, motivate them through the rest of lockdown, and also get them going straight into it once the season starts.
Perfect.
Good. So first of all, how did you start off as a goalkeeper?
We're just playing about in the garden, kicking a ball about, and then it was just mostly I'd like to pick a ball up, catch it, throw it, stuff like that. So then under eights went on trial at Sheffield Wednesday Young Owls. Were there for a season and then got picked up from Sheffield Wednesday from there. So it were more about me enjoying having a ball on my hands rather than at my feet, which started it really, and then just went on from there.
Good. I think one of the things from your career as well that you was at Wednesday from a very young age, right the way through up until pro, weren't you? So
Yeah, it were till under 16, so scholarship age, and then from there it were just bouncing around clubs until I found somewhere that I fit in.
yeah.
So yeah, that's it. That was probably one of the hardest parts is finding somewhere that your face fits, which is the hardest part in football because it's all about opinions.
Of course it is, yeah. And it can just be a change of staff, and it can make
Exactly,
a
yeah.
difference. I mean, it can be positive and it can be negative either way, can't it?
Yeah, of course it can.
So grassroots. I know. Were you at Wednesday? So Young Owls,
I
and
was
then
just at Young Owls until literally under nines, and then from there the academy the whole way through. So I only really got one season at grassroots, and then it were into academy football.
okay. So coaches who you worked with at Wednesday then?
Oh, there's been a great deal. It was like Billy Mercer, and then you've got my most recent one at Wednesday was Nicky Weaver, who's now, well, he's still there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was one of the better coaches that I had at Wednesday, and I enjoyed working with him. So
I think Nicky's actually stepping up into the first team now.
Yeah, he's been bouncing up and down between them, hasn't he, recently? So yeah, and then Mark Crossley's another one.
Yeah.
So he were a brilliant coach, and then he moved on to first teams and stuff like that. Went as assistant manager, then he at Chesterfield, and then from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, very good. So as a young keeper, then who were the goalkeepers that you looked up to?
There were a few. It was Casillas, people like that when I first grew up, and then as you moved on, it were all the Wednesday keepers. So Stephen Bywater won, and I've had the pleasure of working with him for a couple of years, and he's a top bloke. He's a bit mental, but you have to be as a goalkeeper. But he was brilliant. Chris Kirkland, another one. Kieran Westwood, all brilliant goalkeepers, and then it's just gone from there. You just end up stepping up, and you meet more and more of these people, and you find out how they work, how they train, stuff like that. And it's just a brilliant experience.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about in past weeks with the other guests as well is about what you take little bits from each coach and each goalkeeper. So what sticks out most with them little bits you've picked up?
If you look at each goalkeeper, they're all completely different, but most of all, every single one of them is just so relaxed when they've got a ball around them. So either if it's in the feet or if they've got it in the hands, it's just so relaxed, and that's how they all work. And then also they have the resilience that if they make a mistake, they'll forget about it, they'll move on, and then they'll learn from it afterwards rather than letting it affect them for the rest of a game, rest of a session. And that's the biggest thing for any keeper, is that you've got to be able to make mistakes, because everybody makes them, and it's how you learn from them rather than the mistake itself.
Yeah, good tip. Well done. Yeah. So who do you think taught that you most then? What keeper do you think?
Oh, well, every goalkeeper's made mistakes from time to time, and it's just every single one of them. So any goalkeeper I've worked with, even look at Joe Wildsmith at Sheffield Wednesday still. I've worked with him since he were 10 years old, and he once got pulled out of a game after 20 minutes because he made a mistake. And from that, he learned all the way up to where he is now.
Yeah.
So it's them mistakes that help you as a goalkeeper. So
I think that's life as well, isn't it? I mean, we all go through life and we all make mistakes, and I think the biggest thing with a goalkeeper is that your mistakes. Sometimes it's not even a mistake. Sometimes we can get just beaten by a good goal, but just how people react around us, you can feel as though you have made a mistake when actually it's just a good goal that's beat us.
Exactly. It's amplified as a goalkeeper. It's a lonely position because nobody else knows how it feels. Because if you look at a midfielder, they'll make 10, 20 mistakes in a game, and nobody sees that. They can still have a man of the match performance. If the goalkeeper makes one, then everybody sees it, and that's what affects a goalkeeper rather than any other position on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, we look at strikers. Strikers can do nothing all game.
Exactly.
Sometimes a good strikers are the one that only have one thing to do, and they put the ball in the back of the net. That's sometimes what determines them as a good striker, isn't it? But like you said, they can make mistakes all game, put one goal in the net. They're the hero. We've made thousands of saves all game, and we don't even get a mention.
Exactly. I've had that plenty of times.
So all the way through then at Sheffield Wednesday, right up until the point, was it scholarship or was it?
Yeah, scholarships on 16s.
It was scholarship. So, I mean, I can imagine that. I mean, obviously, that's when I got to know you, and that's when we started working together. Big blow to deal with.
Yeah, it was one of them. You thought everything was all roses and everything all sunshine roses, and then it's that knock, and you just like, wow, this is the real world. This is how it actually is. And then from there, it was literally bouncing around clubs, Chesterfield, Notts County, even Bury at one point, and even went down to Wimbledon. And it was just, wow, this is how it is for goalkeepers all over the place. If you don't make it at one club, you've got opportunities at others, and that's how it was for me. And then it got to a point that it was either Burton or Mansfield. And then Burton came in first, and I was just like, yeah, I enjoyed what I've done down there, and took it from there.
And I think a lot of not just goalkeepers but footballers in that position. It sometimes that's a make or break, isn't it? That sometimes that's a decision where I've put all my life into this. I've done it all the way through school, all the sacrifices, that I've made to get to this point. And then when it gets to the point where I want to sign a scholarship, they've turned me away. And then that can put them off football completely, can't it?
That breaks so many people because they've put literally their whole heart and soul into it. And then it's got to a point where they've just gone, no, we don't want you anymore. And then it's just that realization that all of what you've done over the 6 or 8 years is just done and you've got to start afresh. And that's where, for me, it was more like an opportunity rather than just a setback. So I got to basically get the experience of going somewhere else and learning from new people. And that's what I took from it more than actually the setback of I'm not at Sheffield Wednesday anymore.
Yeah. So what do you think? Is that mindset something that you'd already got built in, or is it?
It was, but it also gave me that bit more determination to prove them wrong, just prove that I am good enough. And it's not just a fact that I wasn't to their level. It was more a fact that they just didn't think I was right for them. So it's giving that chip on my shoulder to just always prove everybody wrong.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't think there's anybody who's at the top in anything in life who hasn't had a knockback. But like you say, sometimes the knockback is the best thing that can ever happen to you.
Yep.
If someone's always patting you on the back all the way through your life, saying well done, you probably always hold a little bit back. But if someone all of a sudden says, hang on a minute, you're not good enough to do this, then that's what makes you think, right, I'm going to give it 120% now rather than 100% that I was giving before.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. So one of the pluses then of Burton is the training facilities, isn't it?
Yeah, it's world class. Literally this morning we were training on one of the best pitches in the country, and we do that every single day. But the problem is with that is people take it for granted.
Yeah. And
doing that from under 18s to then first team, you see a lot of players who just take all the facilities for granted, take what all the staff do for granted. And then they get to the realization of if you go out on loan or go somewhere else, you don't have everything provided to you. So that's the real shock.
Just to let the students know who probably don't know, but Burton Albion actually train at St George's Park. So you can remember we had Giles Maud on quite a few weeks ago who played for the England Paralympic team, and he trained at St George's Park. Callum and Burton are probably the luckiest ones out of them all because they get to train there every single day, not just at the England camps.
Yeah, it's such an experience, and every time you walk in the building, you're just like, wow, because they're always doing something to make it better. Either it's on the pitches or indoors. You go in the hydro pool and stuff like that. You've got the pool that changes depth the whole time, and then it's just unbelievable. And then when I was injured, it was the gym side. You've got all the technology there that you wouldn't have anywhere else, and that's what I got lucky with, is that I had all that for me so that I could come back in a better shape than I ever was.
Well, one of the things that I've been lucky enough to go to St George's Park a few times, but one of the things that I found interesting about the rehab rooms is that the windows face the football pitches.
Yep.
And the idea behind that is to help you, to make you think to get out onto the football pitches more and to work harder in the rehab rooms. Whereas I think some people that could have a negative effect as well, couldn't it? Because it might make you want to get back too early, and it could probably do your head in a little bit more than what it should do. But I think the thought of it is a positive thought, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look at the main gym, it literally overlooks the main stadium pitch, which has got all the stand there and everything. And that really, for the 3 months that I had to spend in there, was motivation to look at the facilities that they've got. And literally being back on that pitch 3 months later was the proof that all the hard work that you put in the gym is worth it to get back on the field.
Yeah. So obviously I know about your injury, but just explain to the students a little bit about your injury.
So it was just after the first game of the season this last year, and it was training session, just carried on like normal, and then one little kick of a ball and I tore my knee ligaments just completely, my ACL, which is your main ligament in your knee. And from there, it was 6 months of hard work in the gym, getting back to your leg strength because you had to have the operation in your hamstring. So they take your hamstring and then you basically recreate a knee ligament. So it was 3 months of all the strengthening work, all the power work, just to get back to a level that I was at before, not even to then go on further. So then after the 3 months in the gym, you're allowed to start straight line running, but you have to continue the leg weights for the next 3 months. So it was just continuous work of leg strength, but working on both legs, because if not, then you put in the risk of the other one being damaged. So it was 6 months, then 7 months, and then I got 1 game, and then we had the pandemic, which basically stopped everything.
Yeah.
So it was the best thing to happen was to get back, but then the worst thing to happen is then we had to stop again. So yeah, it was a tough time, but it's definitely worth it.
So the knockback that you got at Sheffield Wednesday, then, do you think that helped with your mindset to help you deal with the injury a little bit better?
Definitely. I definitely think that helped, because without having that setback, you're like, this has never happened to me before. Why has it happened to me? That's you thinking, why is it me that has this? Whereas because I've had that setback, I've always thought that I can push through this. I can get back fitter, stronger, and just prove that it's not going to beat me.
Yeah. So you'd already proved to yourself and everybody else that you can recover from a knockback. So once you got the injury, you knew that you'd been there before. Obviously,
exactly.
Slightly different. Obviously, one was an injury and one wasn't, but you knew that mentally you could recover as long as physically you could recover.
Exactly. Every setback's different, but to get really every single one has similarities, and you can learn from your past mistakes to then work on these ones. And that's how I felt when I went through it.
So back onto the facilities then, thinking about your injury as well. So obviously having access to the facilities that you've got, which are probably they're up there with the best in the country. Do you think that's helped you with your recovery?
Definitely helps, because you have the hydro pool there, so you can go back swimming before you can run, and then stuff like that. But then you've got the gym, all the watt bikes and everything. You've got every single type of facility you could ever dream of there. Even after your operation, you can't really do much for the first couple of weeks. You've got hand bikes there, so you're just working with your upper body. So at least you're keeping some sort of fitness, whereas some people, you're struggling to get that facility.
So do you have access to different physios as well, rather than just a club physio then? Is there different?
Not for me, but for anybody else, you could literally work with the St. George's physios. But luckily we had our physios there, and we kind of work with them. We've kind of worked with the St. George's ones, but we mostly were just with Burton.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I think with there being a bigger pool of physios working together, it's good for them to communicate and work with. And obviously they might have had a similar injury or whatever, that they can try and
they've got a sports science lab there, so they've got a few sports scientists that they work with, but we've obviously got a zone and everything. Yeah. And then we've got the specialist for ACLs and knee ligaments and stuff like that. So we were working closely with him the whole way through.
Yeah.
And then obviously our physios work with now 6 players in the last 4 years with ACL injuries. So he knew basically what to go through. But obviously you've got to do that little bit extra, so we're always researching, see what else you can do within your limits. So it's always pushing the boundaries of what you can do and improving as much as you can each day.
It's a little bit like goalkeeping as well. Everybody's different. Everybody will recover differently. Everybody's body will probably react differently to different exercises or different methods of treatment, won't it?
Exactly, yeah. Like there was me and one other lad who both did ours literally 3 weeks apart. So we were both bouncing ideas off each other and what we could do, how we could improve. And then I was obviously 3 weeks behind him, so I had an idea of what I'd be doing in the future. And then this season we've got 2 more lads who've done theirs, so it's obviously passing on then what my experience was, and then it's all about helping each other really. So it's you're never alone when you're injured, and then you've always got the team spirit and everything, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously St George's Park's massive, so obviously you could be there and not see anybody. But are you isolated for when they're there? Is it a bit like a closed camp or?
We see them around, stuff like that. You'll see them walking about because they've got to walk from the hotel at the top to then the football centre. So you can see them sometimes. Then when you have teams touring, so we've had Barcelona there a couple of times. You see them, and you're just like, wow, they're actually here. And then they've had everybody there. They've had Benfica there, who's literally training on a pitch just up from us, and then you see people about all the time.
Do they use it for European games? And if they're playing a Champions League game or whatever, do they use that as a training camp before the games, or do they just come and use the facilities just for the?
They come whenever they've got a break. Really, sometimes some clubs like to go abroad. So you've got our big six normally don't go there, but it's normally like Spanish teams, Italian teams, stuff like that. And then they always come over for, say, a week. They'll literally hire a pitch. They'll change all the ad boards for the certain teams and everything. And they'll literally cater for every single team that go there.
Yeah. Okay, so just the experience of where they train, then it's phenomenal, isn't it? Just what it can get. And I'd have thought that sounds quite inspiring as well. I mean, obviously, being in that environment can inspire you, but the added inspiration of the teams that are around and working as well.
Exactly. At the minute, we've not seen many, but even when the England teams are there, you'll sometimes see them, or even when it's the England youth that are there, you see them sometimes, and you just think that they're just the same as you, really. They're still finding their way in the football world, and you take inspiration from the fact that you're working in the same facilities as them, and you just take on board everything you do there, really.
So you've worked with Eric Steele, haven't you?
I've worked with Eric Steele, yeah.
So Eric was probably the first goalkeeper coach that I worked with over a long period of time, where I could actually build a relationship. And obviously, where now is probably regarded as one of the best goalkeeper coaches, not just in the country, but I think near enough the world. So, how much have you gained from working with Eric?
He sees stuff at such detail; it's incredible. It's just literally the finest details that he changes, and it takes you so far, you just can't imagine it. And then he's telling you why he does stuff like that. So when he's worked with like David De Gea, Edwin van der Sar, and just telling you why he does each session. And even when he's just doing the basic stuff, so saving things with your feet, it's just like he gives such fine details to it, and that's what you need, really. Especially when you get further and further into your career, you need them finer details to keep improving.
Yeah, I agree. So, biggest influence then?
When I first started, it would have to be my family. But obviously, as I've kept growing into my career, it's been probably Stephen Bywater was basically mentoring me for 2 years when I first turned pro. So we're learning from him, learning from everything he does. And then you've got Brad Collins, who's now at Barnsley.
Yeah.
He was there for a year. He learning from him and all his different styles, because obviously being at Chelsea, he's learned from international coaches, so he had a different style to everybody else. And then Kieran O'Hara, who's there now, he's been at Manchester United, so he's got a different style. And then even you look at Ben Garrett, who's there now, his first choice. He's got a different system because he's worked at Crewe and come through Crewe's system, so he's more traditional in his style. And then Andy Quay, who's now our goalkeeper coach, he's worked with Eric Steele. He still works with him on their program. So he's got the fine details down, and working with him every day, I can tell an improvement just in the 2 months, 3 months he's been here.
Yeah. So you've been, I mean, obviously before your injury, you got quite a few loan spells.
Yeah.
What do you think you gained from that?
Just the different side of football, the physical side, and then just how much it means to the players. So first went to Matlock, only played 2 games there. And then I was still 17 at the time. Then I went to Gresley, and that's a local team near Burton. and I played over 30 games there in a season. And you just learn so much from the players because there's ex-pros in there and everything. And you learn their mentality, the physical side of the game, because people are going to put challenges in, and it's not like academy football because people actually are working for a job, really. It's not exactly just playing because a coach has told you to play or something like that. It's actually means something to everybody. And that's what I took most from it.
It's men's football, isn't it? And it's the first thing that obviously through the scholarship process and even under 23s, it's still development football to an excess, isn't it? Whereas as soon as you start getting into there, it's adult football, and there's a meaning. Everybody's wanting to win, and it's just a completely different environment, isn't it?
Yeah, under 23s football, under 18s football, it's all about the technical side and everything like that. You don't see the other sides of it. You don't see the mental side and the physical side as much because you've got players who are afraid to get hurt because of their careers and stuff like that. Whereas you're playing adult football in the leagues, they're there to win and they want results, and that's it, because it's their livelihoods at the end of the day. Whereas at academy football, if somebody gets injured, they're then thinking, well, that's my career done. And I've seen people who have done that and then they've shied away from a challenge and then got hurt even more. And then from that, they've struggled to get anywhere else.
Yeah, and you'll not see players running through a brick wall for the team, will you, at 18s and 23s, so if they get a little tweak, that's it, they're waving their hand and they'll go off and they'll get some ice on it. Rather, once you're into competitive football, they'll play through them injuries, and whether it's right or wrong, but they'll play through them, and there's just that determination, isn't there?
Exactly. When you get to men's football, you've got players they're taking painkillers before games because they're struggling with injuries. But most of the time, every single player that's on a football pitch is never at 100%. Literally, the only time you'll be at 100% is literally the first session of pre-season.
Yeah.
Then after that, you've always got a niggle or something like that. You're never going to be at 100% because you've just got to work hard every single day to get better.
And it's body management, isn't it? I mean,
Exactly.
it's managing your injuries, and which is one of the things that ultimately finished me, because I was just encouraged to keep playing, injection after injection after injection, and until my body just completely packed up to the point where I'm struggling now at my age because of that. Which I think in that era as well, it was they didn't really know the long-term effects. And I mean, look at the Edim now with the dementia and stuff like that. The long-term effects now are a lot more apparent, aren't they? And it is actually in football that they are looking at that and making sure that the players now don't get them long-term effects.
Yeah, it's always tough because nowadays with the era of sports science, every single bit of analysis is done on your body and everything like that. So if you'll feel something in your hamstring, you've then got so many protocols to do before you can get back into training. So for us, you've got different types of runs to do or stuff like that. Or it's just so finely detailed that, say 10 years ago, they didn't have that information. So nowadays you'll see players get arrested more because the numbers aren't right or something like that. And I think that'll just continue, and then it'll nullify all the effects that people are having in future.
Yeah, which is right, into that's how we want the game to be, and it's only rightly so that people are playing it for the love of playing, and they don't want to have injuries all the way through the life and health issues because of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's your weekly setup then at the minute?
Well, we being COVID and everything, we've got a game every Saturday, Tuesday. So we'll be in on a Monday. We'll be doing a video analysis session of the game before, and then one of the game on the Tuesday. And then we'll go out, we'll do a bit of shape work, a bit 11v11 stuff, a few small-sided games, and just prepare for the game. Some players will do ice baths and stuff like that after training. After that, if it's an away game, we'll set off early. We'll set off at something like 9 o'clock in the morning. So when we went to Charlton a couple of weeks back, and then at Wimbledon this week, it was a 9 o'clock start all the way down, stop at a hotel for a few hours, get food, prepare, go out for a walk, then sit in a hotel room for 4 or 5 hours to just relax, prepare. People go to sleep. People just relax. Some play video games, anything, and then go to the game. You prepare everything sorted. Play the game. We won the last 3, so that's helpful. Then straight back after the game, food on the bus, just relax. And then I think I got back at 2:30 on Wednesday morning this week. Then Wednesday off. Thursday we'll train. We'll go through the game on Tuesday, and then the starters will rest. They'll go to the pool. They'll go on the track, just do a light bike session and everything. Everybody else will train, bit of running, bit of small-sided games, get ready for the weekend. Friday the same as Monday, just the same match prep, and then Saturday's game.
Okay, good. So game preparation.
It's the biggest thing. So we'll do a bit of work individually just on what they're like. So if the team like crossing, stuff like that, we'll do more crossing based sessions, and then we'll go into a phase of play or something like that, and we'll work on defensive shape, our position as goalkeepers. So if they're playing long balls, we'll be higher, get ready for them balls over the top, or just see how they're going to play. And then we'll go into 11v11s and walk through everything they're going to do, their set pieces, and just finally pick everything through until we feel that we're right. And then with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank being manager, he's so like picky on everything. So he'll want everything perfect before anybody will go in. So we've had 3-hour sessions, 4-hour sessions, and it's hard, but it's worth it in the end, and we've got the results from it.
Yeah, good. So how would you set up personally for the game?
So if it were me, I'd be just getting used to what they do. But at the minute, me being third choice, it's just see what Ben wants as a goalkeeper, or if Kieran ends up playing, Kieran wants. And then just do my bit with Andy, do a bit extra, just be ready for a game. And then if we're at home on a midweek game, then we'll have a session in the morning so that I'm actually getting working if I'm not going to be involved. And then obviously I'll do the warm-up of the session just in case one of them gets injured or something like that.
Yeah. So that actually earns you your day off, doesn't it? Getting that session in on the match day, because which I think the staff like you to do, because obviously it gets them the day off, doesn't it? It doesn't mean that they're coming in and training the lads who aren't involved. So if you were playing, what would your match day routine be?
Well, with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank coming in, we've always got pre-match meal together. So at home games, we'll have to be in for 11 o'clock. So it's an early start. I'll be up probably 7 o'clock, something like that. Get a bit of breakfast, just sit around, relax, get ready for a game. Then pre-match meal, have a bit of pasta, stuff like that, which is not ideal at 11 o'clock in the morning. And then it's just relax. We'll have a video just to go through the finest little bits of what the opposition will do. Go out early for a warm-up, just go through, just chilled, relaxed, without having to feel rushed or anything. Go in, get ready, prepare for the game, and take it from there.
Okay, so would you do the same routine every game, or would you look at how the opposition play, depending what your warm-up routine would be?
I normally keep it the same, just so I'm just in the zone of how I like to be, rather than sometimes some goalkeepers like to change it up for if they're different teams, but I like to keep it the same just because that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's more about mental preparation, isn't it, before the game? All the work and everything else is done through the week. You probably know how they're playing, so the keeper coach has probably had a word with Jimmy, and they've obviously he's planned his sessions around what they're doing. So if they like to stick a lot of crosses in the box, you'll probably do more crosses during the week, won't you? Or if they don't press on much, you might do more work with your feet so you can play it out the back more.
Exactly.
But the
we'll go through it. We'll go through it the Thursday and the Friday, depending if the game's been intense on the Tuesday. We'll go through it, finally pick through it, see what they'll do. If they'll press, we'll look to mix it up, play longer a bit more. But if they're going to drop off, we'll play out. We'll just get used to them patterns of play, and then we'll take it from there.
So penalties. I just set up for penalties. What's your?
I look at their body shape mostly. So I'll not guess straight away. I'll literally look at how they're stood, if they're looking in a certain corner, stuff like that. And then sometimes you've got to psych them out of it. So if I always just seem to look them in the eye because they never want to do that. And then from there you can tell if they're nervous, if they're confident. And then sometimes you'll see data of where they'll go. So if a certain striker goes one way every time, we'll know that before. We'll get told that before. So then if it does happen, you've got a rough idea of where they're going to go.
Yeah. So I can't remember who it was, but there's a goalkeeper who actually puts the penalty taker's details on his water bottle.
Jordan Pickford did that in the World Cup. Yeah.
That might be who it was. So obviously he went and got a drink during the penalties and he'd just have a little look on his drinks bottle.
I've done that before. Just so when for a penalty shootout that a rough idea of where they're going to go. So like when we had Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup start this year, we had notes on every single one of their penalty takers just in case. So I had a water bottle, just had it next to it. So then if it was needed, then I had it.
Yeah.
That's how you've got to be, really. Nowadays, with all the data and everything, you may as well take advantage of it.
And I think sometimes as well, you talked about trying to psych them out. Just that little bit of knowledge you're telling them and probably reeling it off that you knew where they put the last 6 penalties. It gets in their head and it already starts some second thinking it, doesn't it? And that can be one already, can't it? If you get in their head thinking he knows where I'm going here, then he starts trying to change it, and then that can be a missing the target, can't it?
Well, earlier this season when I were out on loan at Middlesbrough, I saved 2 penalties in one game because I psyched their striker out for the first one because you could see exactly where he were going. So, and then later in the game when he got another one, you could tell he were going the other way because his body shape was showing it. And that's just from the nerves because of how he was playing. He didn't want to take the penalty, but nobody else would take it. So he had to step up, but he didn't want to be there.
And I think it's showing that confidence as well. Even if you're not confident, you might have no idea where they're going, and you're not confident. You might have actually give the penalty away. So you've got a lot of weight on your shoulders, but showing that confidence in the goal that you can get into their head and you can save that can make the save before it's even been taken, can't it?
It's about acting, really. If you act confident, if you act big, bold, you're more likely to stand a chance rather than if you're just like, oh no, it's a penalty. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
If you're just decisive, stick to what you think's right, then you've got a better chance of saving it.
Yeah, good. So, favourite goalkeepers, past and present?
Oh, probably Casillas. That'd be my first because he's not the biggest like me, so he had to work more on his footwork, more on his speed, his agility, stuff like that. And then you've got Buffon as well. He's bigger, but he's still so smart with his footwork, and that's exactly what you need as a goalkeeper. And that's kind of lost nowadays. That some goalkeepers don't think their footwork is as important as it should be. And then nowadays, you've got quite a few goalkeepers that you look up to. Even Jack Butland, even though he's struggled recently, he's unique that the fact that he was stuck at one club for such a long time and they stuck by him until a certain point, and then he got a move and he's changed. He's not been playing, but I've seen him just training. He's working hard and he's improving every day. Even though he's getting on in his career, he's still developing.
I think one of the things that interested me with Butland is how much the FA and the England setup influenced his moves, because he was always involved from a young age in the England setup, and they actually controlled his career a little bit and spoke to the clubs who he was at the time and encouraged him to get him out on loan, and also sorted some moves out for him, because obviously it was highlighted as being one of the future England number ones.
It's scary how much control being in an England setup has. And sometimes for some players that gets in their heads, because then they'll get moves and then they'll be getting crazy money for 17-year-olds. And then that's what causes the downfall of quite a few, is that the fact that they've now got this money, but they don't know what to do with it. They think they've made a career out of themselves and they're only 19, 20-year-old. And that's why you see quite a lot of players who then don't get on to being stars.
Yeah.
So even if you look at the fact like Ravel Morrison, I know he's not a goalkeeper, but he was tipped to be one of the best. He got a big contract and then he never lived up to that hype because he thought, I've made this career now, I don't need to work. But you need to work hard every single day to get better.
And I think for me that's especially for the players in my era, that's a big gripe. That obviously when we were 17, 18, we were on a couple of £100 a week and we were still doing jobs. We were still cleaning boots and whatever. Whereas now it's just a completely different world, isn't it? That players can be on probably millionaires and they probably haven't even had a first team appearance. And like you said, that some players that can finish them already because it's already into their head and they've already switched off and think that they've made it.
Exactly. You'll see nowadays there's 18-year-old kids driving big Mercedes and stuff like that. But being at a lower league club, you get that realization that it's not all about that. It's all about working hard, developing as a player and making a career out of yourself from that hard work, that perseverance, rather than just having everything given to you.
Yeah. And I think as much as it sounds, having £1 million in the bank when you're 18 years old, if you don't know how to look after it and deal with it, it very quickly disappears and it's not going to last you the rest of your, never mind your playing career or the rest of your life.
Exactly. You'll see people spending stupid money on cars and stuff like that, but they won't look at the business sense of everything else. So they won't look at going into property management, stuff like that. And that's why you're going bankrupt, stuff like that. But then you've got the other pressures of like gambling, on horse racing and everything. And it's the peer pressure of being in that sort of environment. Some of the older players like to put a bet on the horse. But it's just that pressure that gets to some young players, and that's what you've got to see to avoid as you coming through, because you don't have some players don't have that sort of money that others are putting on. So you've got to manage yourself and look after yourself before you think of anybody else.
Is there much help or protection with that? Because obviously, I mean, I know that's been a big issue with a lot of players, and I think it's been an issue within the game for a long time. So is there some help for the younger players to try and educate them away from that?
This course is put on by the PFA, the Players Football Association. It's not ideal. It's not exactly what you need. You come out of school and then you're getting paid to play football, so everybody's just like, it's the best work, it's the best thing you can do. Yeah. But you don't get taught about all the money side of it, how to manage your money and stuff like that. People are learning on the fly. They don't do enough, but they're working on it and it's developing, but it needs to get better over time, really.
And I think the senior pros is obviously you can take a lot of out of it with a football side of it, can't you? But obviously they've got some of the habits that can actually rub off bad on the stuff away from the game.
Exactly. There's bad habits in everybody, but you've got to see what's good and what's bad about every person. Take the good bits, what you can. You'll pick up some bad habits on the way, but it's learning to stop getting them or to avoid continuing that habit. And you'll get out of it eventually, but you'll find your own path. And at the end of the day, you'll get there. It's just the fact that you'll see the senior pros will have Louis Vuitton bags or stuff like that, and then you'll see young players a couple of weeks later going, "Oh, I'm going to get one of them because I've seen him have it." But it's learning that you might not have that sort of money yet, so you've got to learn how to find a way in the game before the money comes, and then take it from there.
£500 toiletry bag.
Yeah.
So
I've seen it.
We'll open it up a little bit to some of the students' questions, and there's a few put a couple on the group chat. Do you play FIFA? And if you do you play as yourself?
I rarely play FIFA, but when I do, I've played the odd game as myself, but not really.
Well,
It's not the best. It's not the best thing to do for me.
okay, got it. Any more questions? Anyone got any questions? Yes, Ari.
I've got 3. I've trained at the St George's Park. What's the metal man called? Do you have your name on the autograph wall? And do you remember Thorncliffe Juniors under 7s playing there?
Oh, good questions. I don't know what the Iron Man's called because they haven't named it, I don't think. But they used to not have that. It used to be all just football shirts, but then they took that down and put that up. And then I don't have my autograph on the wall. That's for only the England seniors. So if you go further back, there's loads of studs on the wall as well, which the players will use sometimes. And then Thorncliffe Juniors under 7s going there. I probably have seen that, you know. So yeah, we do go about. So we've probably seen it, yeah.
If you remember one that and I think it was a yellow shirt and the one that fell over a lot, that was me.
That sounds familiar, falling over a lot. I do that a lot. So
that's a good way to describe yourself, Harry, to be fair. I think I'd describe you like that as well. Any more questions? No, they're all going quiet on me tonight. So when's are you still a Wednesday fan?
Sort of. I'll follow him. It's not exactly something that's my main priority. Yes, in essence, I am a Sheffield Wednesday fan still, but I'm more following what Burton's results is because I'm in that scene. But you always have a connection to the club that you first grew up playing for and stuff like that and supporting. So at least it's something that's still there. It's never going to change, but mostly for me, it's Burton. It's just Burton now. So yeah.
Okay, good. So do you think their experience dampened it a little bit?
No, I wouldn't say that because at the end of the day, it can happen to anybody. It's opinions in football. I know at under 16s, I don't think the coach really liked me. So it were one of them. I thought it were inevitable, something had happened, but you can't hold a grudge against them because they're doing what's best for them at the time and take it from there.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got another question in the chat. If you was in a room with a goalkeeper of your choice and you could ask them one question, who would it be and what question would you ask them?
I'd probably go back and ask probably Peter Schmeichel and ask him what his biggest regret was in his career, because if you look at his career, he's done so many things. I'd like to see what he actually regrets of what he's done and see how he could improve his career or how he thinks he could have got better, and just take it from there and just see how somebody of that stature still thinks about how he could still improve.
How do you think he'd do in the modern game?
I think he'd do all right because he still has the techniques, he has the throw and everything. And you look at Casper, he's got everything there, and he's took so many things from his dad's game that I think he'd still do all right.
And I think, I mean, I've read a lot about with Casper and listened to a lot of his podcasts, and I think it's quite interesting how Casper's career has developed, because he's tried to keep as far away as from his dad, because obviously he wants to be his own individual, but obviously his dad's had a massive influence on his career and stuff like that.
He's always been his own man, but you can tell the fact that he's learned from his dad when he's growing up, and he's got his sort of style, and that's a big influence on him, is that he's got his dad's style, but he's also got the pressure of his dad's name. So he's always got that extra bit of pressure to do well, because everybody's expecting him to.
Yeah. So, dream move. What club would you like to come in for you anywhere in the world?
I think it's a dream where everybody used to go to somewhere like Real Madrid or Barcelona, one of them two, really, because everybody looks at it and goes, they're two of the biggest clubs in the world, and it's somewhere different. It's another country. It's another experience. I've been to both places, and it's just, look at the atmosphere of the whole cities. It's just incredible, and it'd be an experience that nobody can really match.
What about an English club, British club?
Oh, if I was going to an English club, it'd probably be either Man City or Tottenham, just because of their facilities that they've got are out of this world, and it just be one hell of an experience to be around it every day and just see how much detail they go into. Because I look at my experience and they've gone into so much detail, but then you look at the clubs higher up, they've got a member of staff for each player, they've got a sports scientist for each player, and it's just incredible to see how much detail they go into at the top level.
Yeah, and I think it's getting more detailed as we go along, because it's them fine points, isn't it? It's that extra second, it's that extra millimeter to make that save, and just having that finer detail of what they keep going with the science as well. That's what's going to make them saves, isn't it? And make the players who they are.
Exactly, yeah. And it'll only continue to the point that data's controlling what players are like and how they play. And you can already see that happening, that some players are just getting moves off the fact that they're covering 13k a game rather than the fact that they've played 8 kilo balls or something like that. And it's them numbers that are changing the game, really.
If you could pick two centre backs to play in front of you, who would they be?
Oh, I don't know. One would probably be Sergio Ramos, because he's just such a born leader, and you could tell with his experience that he'll stop anything, and he'll put his body on the line for a team. And then it's probably a tough one for another one, because there's so many good defenders at the minute who'll put the body on the line, because you look at the big games, the amount of blocks that some players will get. I've seen a stat that Ben Mee's the top of that. It just shows how much desire that he has to stop goals going in. And that's a big thing for a goalkeeper, is seeing that a defender puts his body on the line, blocks shots and everything. And that's so important in a game, because you can't expect your goalkeeper to make 10, 15 saves a game without any help.
Yeah.
And even them stats, it just proves that defending is so important in a game to actually get a result.
Okay, good. So we've got Addy's got another question. Yes, Harry?
Are you looking forward to playing Wednesday when they go down?
It would be a great experience, that, yeah. I've played at Bramall Lane in the Youth Cup, in the FA Youth Cup, and that was a great experience. But if Wednesday go down, it'll be a great experience to just go back to Hillsborough.
No surprise you'd win.
How we played at the start of the season, mate, I don't think we would have, but now we've got a chance.
Thanks.
Are you finding it with no crowds in the games?
It's not right. I don't feel like it's a proper atmosphere. Everybody's different, and when there's fans there, you've got a more of a buzz around it, and that's what's the main difference, is that there's no buzz around the stadiums. It's just literally, it's like a training game, that nobody's there. Even if it's bad and people are booing, at least there's an atmosphere and there's a sense of, I'm doing it for these people behind me, and that's just not there.
Yeah. One of the things for me, and I know why they are doing it, but with the false crowd when you're watching the TV, I mean, I would really like to be able to listen to the players and listen to the staff. I mean, obviously with the swearing for the younger ones, it's not ideal, but I mean, from a learning point of view, to know the information that's going around on the pitch, I think that could be really good for the development of the younger ones.
That'd be something that's perfect perfect for young players, just learning how other players talk to each other, how goalkeepers communicate, even though there is bad language and that's always going to happen because of the pressure of the environment you're in, but how much information that goalkeepers give. And one of the best at that is probably, you look at Kieran Westwood when I was at Sheffield Wednesday, it was his first couple of years, but the amount of information he gives to his defenders is incredible. And that's how he kept so many clean sheets that year, is that the fact he was always talking to players, it was never quiet. And if you match that with defenders that talk to each other and then they pass it on to your midfielders, your strikers, then that's how you get good team performances, because everybody's on the same wavelength.
And you can stop something happening, can't you? By giving the correct information at the right time, you can stop a situation happening which can result in a shot, which could ultimately result in a goal. So you can be stopping goals from the information that you're giving out to your defenders.
Exactly. That's probably, for me, is the biggest part of the game, is that if you can stop a goal by just telling somebody that their man's off their left shoulder or off their right shoulder, it makes your life easier, but it also makes it easier for a team to win.
Yeah. So we've got a question from Owen. Yes, Owen.
Who's your favourite team that you played for as a kid?
As a kid, well, I played for two teams. I played for Sheffield Wednesday Young Owls and Sheffield Wednesday. So I can't really decide between them both, because I had 1 year at grassroots football. I loved it, and we won the league that year, and it was just such a great experience. And then academy football, it's totally different. My first game, Everton away, going there, unbelievable experience. We lost 6-0, but you can expect that with the big teams. But when you have that feeling that you've played well, and I had that day, and that's what got me to actually sign for Sheffield Wednesday, is the fact that they thought I did well in that game. And the atmosphere is incredible just to experience in academy football. But grassroots football is probably my best year, is because it was just me playing for the fun of it, rather than having the pressure of doing well, doing this. It was just me playing with my friends, my mates, and I loved it.
Okay, good. So
Thank you.
good. So just to round it up then, what would Callum Hawkins today tell 10-year-old Callum Hawkins?
Just to keep working hard. There'll be ups and downs, and you'll make mistakes regularly, and it's just learning from them and getting better, and just to keep a smile on your face, because if you can't enjoy it, you shouldn't be doing it. And every day you go in with a smile and just enjoy what you can do.
Okay, brilliant. Really enjoyed that, mate. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us.
No worries.
Great to see you again. Okay, so well done. Thank you for everybody joining us. We've got 2 more Zooms, 2 more guests, okay, to go through, and then hopefully we'll be back on the pitches and back working hard again. So over the next 2-3 weeks, make sure you get your home training drills in. Make sure you keep your fitness up, because once we get back on the fields, it'll be a lot easier for you if you put the work in now rather than waiting until we start. Okay, so a big thank you for everybody, and I'll see all the students next week, and I'll see you soon, Callum. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers,
mate.
Thank
Paul.
you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.